I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, November the 29th, brought to you in part by Safeguard. Safeguard would like to know, is your dewormer working? Text the word SAFE to 48109 to find out. You'll also be entered to win a Traeger grill. For more information, look up Merck Animal Health. Why the industry hates the CME. Now I'm talking about the cattle industry, and if you don't think that they have a hate for them at times, you're not paying attention. The last several sessions here since right before Thanksgiving is a good indication of why the cattle industry hates the CME. It makes no sense what's going on. Your board was down fairly significantly on Monday to start the week. And on Friday, it wasn't a lot of trade, but it was lower. It was lower last Wednesday when we were selling fat cattle, $3 higher on the weighted average, as much as $5 higher in your cash market, and the board's going down all the while. Live cattle haven't dropped significant big losses, but sure, 50 cents every day, and it's already at a $3.50 basis to what your weighted average is in the 5-area feeding region. It's even more than that if you're up in the northern plains. It's not keeping track at all, and you think, well, cattle feeders like basis, they ought to love this deal going on. Well, yeah, they're liking the basis all right, like it's going right now, but the hell of it is, they can't use the live cattle futures to hedge their feeder cattle purchases. If you go out there, you got April sitting at 158.45. Hell, we had higher fat cattle than that on Wednesday of last week. And I know April's been what everybody's been looking for. It's always the highest feeder cattle traded contract of the year, but it's only sitting at 158.45, and we had a lot of cattle sell at 158.50 last week, right before Thanksgiving. You look out a little bit further, June starts retreating back to 155. It's just, it's useless. People cannot depend on it to use that to hedge their risk. Just take what your feeder cattle board is. It's sitting at 176.87. It was down $1.42. Although it had been running at a little bit of a premium to what our cash prices are and what our index levels are. Well, so that 176.87, that's pretty tight in there where your real-time index was. The latest available is 176.71. So let's just use your January feeder cattle settlement on Monday, 176.87, and let's just figure some break even on some cattle, fairly conservative and fairly simple. So we got an 800-pound steer. That's what that's based upon. 800-pound steer times 176.87. That's $1,415 a head. And then we figure we're going to have to put at least 700 pounds on them to get them up to 1,500. People don't feed cattle to 1,000 or 11 or 1,200 anymore. They don't even feed them to 1,300 anymore. Your cattle would be 1,500 before they get finished. So that's 700 pounds is going to take to get those to finish. Okay, what's your cost of gain going to be? It's going to be $1.50 a pound. It is. I don't care if it's your own corn. It's still going to be $1.50 a pound. You could sell that corn. And even if it's not quite that, you figure in your expenses of freight and medicine, different things like that to get them there. I'm just going to use the $1.50 straight up on the 700 pounds. That's $1,050. You add that to $1,415. You get $2,465 per head. Then you divide that back by your 1,500 pounds, which is where you're taking them. That's $1.64. Okay, and I don't know if you could use April anymore at 158.45. That's a hell of a long cry to 164. And if you go to June, it's 155. That's ridiculous. It's not even getting close on the futures prices that they are posting. You can't make anything work. And if you want to get out there and buy some of those better cattle, you can't buy those for what your average is on your index levels from bottom to top of the United States up through your 12 state region, which is what occasionally your feeder cattle contract ties itself to. But I tell you what, people are getting very frustrated with that. There's some other options out there, guys. You look at the Night Latch group that advertises here on the feeder flash. It's Andy Cunningham. We've worked with him before. The Night Latch group is crop insurance, and they also do these livestock policies that the USDA has, and they are professionals at it. LRPs, yes, that's no problem to them, but they are really pushing these livestock gross margin policies. You can manage your corn and your cattle in one easy policy. They've been working with these, and they're working really well for cattle feeders with cattle on feed to finish out. I realize your LRPs don't work very good for those. They do work great for backgrounding cattle, but these livestock gross margin policies are working very good. It's similar to having a live cattle put and a corn call to balance things out and handle your risk on both sides. You have no upfront costs, no margin calls, and you can also do it on cattle, and you can have them. You can have it expire any month, any time. You don't have to wait for a traded contract month to have those expire to be fully covered. Check those out. Go to nightlatch.net. Check out Andy Cunningham's advice there on these livestock gross margin policies, and get a hold of him and get set up with one. And if we didn't have quite so many people on the short side of this livestock or the live cattle contract, maybe then there'd be enough people on the other side, your speculators, to offset that and get the prices up there. Nobody's paying any attention to what's going on here, and as an industry, we're just putting too much pressure on that contract ourselves. Look at your live cattle contracts for December. They were down 50 cents on Monday after we gained all that ground in your fat cattle market. 152.57. Your top price last week was 158.50. The cheapest price we had was 153, and it was a half a dollar from that, and there was hardly any 153. It was mostly 154 and 155, and we got a December contract that's at 152.57, and it turns December on Thursday. February live cattle contracts down 45 cents at 154.67. Your back months on live cattle down 25 to down 52. Feeder cattle for January down $1.42 at 176.87. March down 95 cents at 180.60. Your back months on the feeder cattle down 60 to down 107. You think, oh my God, corn must have been up $10 a bushel or 20. No, corn was up 3/4 cent a bushel at 6.68 3/4. Beans up 21 cents at 14.57 1/4. You think, well, why was the board down again in the middle of this cash rally? I guess they're just blaming it on global turmoil. We did hear some stories out of China that we've got a lot of protesting going on in China. They don't protest very long because those Chinese officials come along with the billy clubs and take their knees out pretty soon, and then whack them over the head, load them up in a paddy wagon, and haul them off. They don't get to just stand around and protest like they do in this country and other free countries. But they're still locked down for COVID. How stupid are these people? And they're still locked down over COVID. There must be some kind of underlying reason that they want everybody locked down like that. But they had an apartment fire over there. People were locked in there literally, and several of them lost their lives over that. But You feel for those people that live in those communist countries like that. But what that had to do with December live cattle, I have no idea. Your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade out of your 5-area feeding region had total receipts in the 5-area of 80,800 head pure negotiated, compared to 74,200 the week before and 95,000 the same week a year ago. Live sales of steers and heifers were $2.50 to $5 higher, from 153 to 158.5. There was over 9,000 head of cattle that sold live at something greater than 158. That's pretty significant, guys, whenever you're thinking about it. Over 9,000 head, of course, is all in the northern plains. But your weighted average on live steers, 156.07. That was up $3.18 on your weighted average. That's huge. Your dress sales range from 242 to 247, mostly 245. Your weighted average on dress steers was 244.86 in the 5-area feeding region. That was up $3.07. So big week. Futures completely ignoring it or don't understand it, or I'm not sure what in the world's going on there, but they will not lend any support at all. Nationwide last week we had 94,900 head of pure negotiated sales. About 15% of those were for the 15 to 30 day delivery, which is less than what typically happens, so they're not able to get too many cattle lined up for down the road, 2 to 4 weeks. Your negotiated grid totals, receipts 38,900. That continues to kind of grow. Your forward contracts 25,300, and formula sweetheart sales 241,000. Box beef cutout values were mixed on Monday to open the week. Choice cuts were up 270 at 254.53. Selects were down 584, so they spread that back out. We noted on our last visit how our choice select spread had sucked together. Well, they spread it back out. Selects were down 584 at 228.53. Slaughter running at a good clip for the first day of the week at 128,000 estimated for Monday. Talk about what else is going on. Beaver County Stockyards, Beaver, Oklahoma, out there in no man's land on the Beaver River. They're going to have 3,000 head or a little better here for their regular Tuesday auction right here today. You can view and bid that sale on dvauction.com. You can check it out, see kind of what goes on. They're going to have 2,000 calves, and estimated that 70% of those calves would be weaned 45 to 90 days. A little hard light cattle, guys. Calf weight yearlings, pretty much as close as you can get. And they did say the quality was really outstanding, better than typical there. Mostly all black and really top quality consignments for the sale here today on Tuesday. They're also going to have some yearlings, 7 to 8 loads of those 8 to 9 weight yearling feeder cattle right there at Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Monday sitting at 176.71. That was up 23 cents. You notice your CME cash feeder cattle index. I told you it was going to jump big on our last visit. It went from 173.63 to 177.19 in one day's move, and it hasn't even got into this week yet. Still sitting in last week. So that gives you an idea, but both your index levels, RTI and CME, is up there around where your spot feeder cattle contract has been trading. It had been trading at a premium here for the last few months, actually. Talk about your big sales on Monday. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, 6,500 head. They're starting to fall behind on year-ago receipts. A year ago this week, they had 10,800 head of feeder cattle and just 6,500 this week, which is a light run for Oklahoma City. Feeder steers $1 to $3 higher. Spots as much as $10 higher. Steer calves $3 to $7 higher. Your heifer calves were steady to $3 lower, but feeder cattle were higher as your board was down $1.42, as if anybody pays any attention to that. Talk about a stick out sale they had at Oklahoma National Stockyards. National Livestock Commission sold 60 head of value-added steer calves weighed 600 pounds at $207.50. Very impressive in that. And normally a colt like that would be reserved for, somewhere up in the sand hills of Nebraska or somewhere, but happened right there at your nation's feeder cattle market in Oklahoma City. How about Joplin Regional Stockyards? I told you they were going to have the second yearling special in the second week in a row. 10,100 head, had 12,000 last Monday, 10,100 this Monday. Going to have another 6,000 at their wean back special this Thursday. So if you're interested in seeing some bigger, more uniform, larger kind of consignments, higher quality kind of consignments, check out Joplin Regional Stockyards on Thursday for the big wean back special. All the cattle will be weaned and be on an approved vaccination program. Can view and bid that sale on dvauction.com, guys. Your market was mostly steady. There was some quotes on big steers weighing over 800 pounds that were steady to $2 lower, but they didn't have near as many of the 8-weight yearling feeders as they did last week. They had more of the lighter yearling cattle. But Joplin is our Zoetis stick out sale of the day. Check out this automated market report from Joplin Regional Stockyards. You'll see the best tested weights. 1,299 head of 5-weight steer calves, average 551, with a weighted average price of $186.37. That was about a buck higher than last week's weighted average. 1,273 head of 6-weight steer calves, average 647. The weighted average price of $179.85. That was about a buck lower on the weighted average. Why I called it mostly steady. 1,003 head of 7-weight steer calves in Joplin averaged 756 with a weighted average price of $176.56 on all them, and that was just about steady with what they had last week on your 7-weight steers. Your biggest test of heifers, 1,125 head of 5-weight heifers, average 554, the weighted average price of $165.71. That weighted average price was about a buck higher than last week's good test. Talk about some individual quotes. How about Gainesville Livestock Auction in Gainesville, Missouri? Not Gainesville, Texas, but Gainesville, Missouri, and that is south central Missouri, down there close to Arkansas, down in the hills there. They've got a good sale barn at Gainesville, and they had kind of a special. They had a lot of bigger lots, a lot of load lots in there. The most impressive to me was 61 steers weighed 832 and bring 174.85, Gainesville, Missouri. How about quite a ways north of there in Missouri at Callaway Livestock Center, Kingdom City, Missouri? They sell 120 steers weighed 874 at $183.35. Wow. How about Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota? Now that's Northern Plains barn. They feature those bigger kind of started cattle. They sell 156 steers weighed 908 at $192. My goodness. But the most impressive quote that I saw on Monday, your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day, come out of my buddy Ted Baum's sale at Elgin, Nebraska, at Elgin Livestock Sales. He sold 100 head of the Pelster Ranch steers, weighed 502 at $2.44 a pound. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.